Hey everybody, welcome back to Quali-Tea time. Wasn't an episode last week, I know, sorry about that. Mostly that was due to variety of things, including not terribly much news, and being kind of busy with other stuff, and also my sleeping pattern has gone to heck, because the humidity around here has just spiked. The temperature rose very slightly again, and then everything got really humid, and that is making it kind of hard to sleep. So, last few nights I got probably barely like 2-3 hours of sleep. It's not great. Actually kind of amazed I managed to actually get up this morning, but we'll see. Main bit of news is of course about Foxden Beta. So we're still working on that one. We haven't heard back from the lawyers who have ostensibly sold this place twice now and are breaking 3 different contracts, but they have until Friday to actually get back to us on that information. The fact that they haven't already is pretty telling. Suggests to me that we do have the place, and they're possibly going to court, but not necessarily with us, so, yeah, that's fine. Mostly because we can't really afford it. We can't afford lawyers in court, no, not a chance. And also, we have other things to be getting on with, like renovating places and moving. But other than that, if somehow this current place that we're looking at, and ostensibly own, falls through, I have been looking at a few other places in the area, and there's a couple different ones on the exact same street, so hopefully by any chance we'll end up still there, which is still a good place to be. It's just the place I looked at this morning, which is currently our best bet out of the options we have. It's about 36% bigger for the room that would be Fuzz's office, which is nice, but it's like 10% short, like, smaller on what would be my office, which is not so nice, because my office is the one that actually needs all the space. So, it's like the one we ostensibly already have is 2 doubles and a single, so that's office, main, like, master bedroom, if you will, and then Fuzz's office is the single, whereas the one I looked at is 2 singles and a double, which is, yeah, so yeah, that's not great, but we're working on it. Hopefully, by the time I have the next vlog out, whether that's next week or a fortnight from now, who knows, we will have some more concrete information, and we will either have the place or we'll be looking at the other one. Yeah, it's not great. If we do have to get the other one, then we have to transfer a whole bunch of funds, and in theory, it could take up to a month for all the paperwork to complete, and then we get the keys for that. So that would put us in there around about mid-September. We, by the way, have to be out of here by mid-October, so that would be a fairly hasty renovation, to say the least. But, yeah. Hopefully things can get sorted out end of this week or this time next week, and we'll get things figured out and start heading, getting some nice, home improvement content in these vlogs. If you've ever wanted to see me swinging a sledgehammer at a wall with the intent to destroy it, you'll definitely see that. I don't know if you'll see the wall being destroyed, but you'll definitely see me swinging it with intent to be destroyed. But other than that, on to the schedule. On Thursday night at 11 PM BST, we have some more StarCraft 2 in midnight. Then on Saturday at 9 PM BST, we have the carousel spinning the wheel. Last time I died so many times because bombs and people attempting to figure out how to break them. Hopefully I live a bit better this time. And on Tuesday at 9 PM BST, we have building blocks. We're working on a bit more blood elegance. And videos you might have missed this week. We have 2 episodes of Dailies by Daylight as I enlist some assistance to take on another triple stack of Survivor dailies, and then I show off the easiest daily in the entire game. And perhaps most importantly this week, we have Mating Do's long-awaited series finale finally arriving as the engineers contort the laws of physics in a mansion basement, and the maid finally shows their hand. And on to the questions. So as always, is drawn from the comment section of the preceding vlog. If you have anything to ask me, drop it down below and we'll see if it gets answered. Our one question of the week comes from Wivercats, who asks, what are good horror movies to get into the genre if you get scared? Easily. The most obvious answer with this, I could try and suggest to you a whole ton of, less scary horror movies, but there's more or less a subgenre, if you will, that is specifically tailored to this purpose. It's the horror comedy. Horror comedies tend to ease back a lot on the actual tension, the jump scares, the musical, like, peaking, the gore, a little less on the gore, but nonetheless, and such, in favor of making light of things, of inserting jokes, adding comedy, having slapstick, and all that kind of thing, which makes them great if you're trying to get into horror movies, because they allow you to sort of ease up the tension over time, over a series of different movies. So you can sort of dive in and on the deep end, for instance, and go to Crimson Peak, or you can start off with something a little bit more your speed. So for instance, some good options for that are The Final Girls. We watched that at our last Halloween Scream. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Very wonderful movie starring Alan Tudyk. Then we have Wasting Away and Shaun of the Dead, the latter two of which there are both zombie horror, like zombie comedy movies, which are very easy to watch if you're more squeamish, because they tend towards comedy a lot easier, because it's like, it's very easy to do slapstick with someone whose arm literally falls off. And zombies are generally kind of slow and stumbly, like clumsy kind of creatures, so they're very easy to make fun of. So there's a lot more comedy, there's a lot more ham acting in like zombie movies out of the horror movies in general. So good place to look there. You're looking at horror comedies, you're looking at zombie movies, that kind of thing. In particular with zombie movies, there's the Living Dead series, which Romero tries to put a lot of social comedy, or I should say tried to put a lot more comedy, like a lot more serious, like political, like coverage and such in his movies, whereas the Living Dead series is sort of like a branching point from those movies. Goes a lot more comedy. It's very, very hard to take the Living Dead series seriously. But then there's also things like Cabin in the Woods to work yourself up to. That has elements of comedy in it, but it's very much like a deconstruction of horror as a whole thing. But yeah, just work through horror comedies, work through zombies, that kind of thing. You can gradually work your way up by reducing the amount of comedy involved to a point where you're more acclimated to the horror element. But I would genuinely like recommend the horror genre as like a thing to investigate, because it's really fun. You can do it in so many different ways. You can do it badly in a lot of ways as well, but same can be said for basically anything. Horror, when it's really done well, is a visceral, like, human experience as far as I'm concerned, but it's so uniquely tailored that you can wire so many things in there as well. So you can have social commentary with Romero, you can have romance plots with Shaun of the Dead and The Find, you can have, like, deep, meaningful relationships, like a mother and her daughter inside of The Final Girls, and you can have commentary about judging a book by its cover through Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and there's just so many ways that you can take it, and it can be really, you can get to so much through the simple act of trying to scare someone. It's kind of beautiful in that way, and now I sound like a massive dork, don't I? Well, with that, then, that is it for today, so I hope you've all enjoyed. Hopefully I'll see you next Wednesday, and I'll catch you all next time.